The man wanted to be more ruthless, using salt to wash his face every day until it bled, to rid himself of any worries. He squeezed his seriously ill wife to death in bed, aiming to become a martial arts master, relentlessly training his disabled legs to become unbeatable. Then he turned these deeds into heroic words, challenging all the martial arts masters to become the foremost martial artist. However, a few days later, the police received a report that the first-generation monarch had been killed on the road, with all the bones in his body broken. The fatal wound in his throat was said to have been scratched internally, making it hard to believe that the victim had used up all the bullets in his gun before dying. Yet there was no trace of the culprit at the scene, only a swallowtail dart left behind. At this moment, a person in a prison, upon hearing the news of the monarch's tragic fate, was deeply moved. He was Ha Hao Vu, sentenced to 5 years in prison 3 years ago for accidentally killing someone. He sought out the detective in charge of the case, claiming to know the identity of the culprit and offering to help solve the case, with the condition that he be released from prison. However, the skeptical detective dismissed his claims, believing that he was merely trying to find a way to get out of prison. As he was about to leave, Feng Qin Din, Dam Qin Gao, Tao Tuan, Nguyen Tan Duong, Fuang Van Hai, Fu Thang Tai, and Fuang Luke Duck, one of whom would be the next suspect, awaited him. It was as if at this time Fong Vu Tu had come to Dam Qin Gao. His junior Fong Vu Tu deliberately came to receive instruction. Today we are divided between high and low, deciding life and death. Having said that, Fong Vu Tu jumped up and pressed himself in front of Dam Qin Gao. Dam Qin Gao is not just an empty name. Although he has been in hiding for many years, the true Dharma is still extremely powerful and ecstatic. But Fong Vu Tu was not afraid at all. His legs, one long and one short, had long been trained into deadly weapons by him. After fighting countless times, Dam Qin Gao fell into a difficult position. Without paying attention, Fong Vu Tu grabbed his right leg, making a scratching sound, then another leg was slammed down. Dam Qin Gao immediately died. A bird's nest dart was inserted into the cage upside down. The true king of a generation was killed by his legs. The final detective finally believed Ha Hao Vu, allowing him temporary release from prison to assist with the investigation based on the 2 deceased martial artists. Ha Hao Vu conceived a plan where the front, back, and bottom of a wok would combine to form a unified weapon. This was the murderer's killing sequence, leading them to deduce that the next target of the culprit was likely the master of the wok school. Contrary to popular belief that Bao Kuang was only fit for comedy, he had turned ferocious. Soon, the first-generation wok master also lost his life within minutes, tortured in an extremely brutal manner. The corpse still bore the swallowtail dart in the shape of a swallow. Ha Hao Vu mourned his good friend and cast his eyes around. As he raised his head, he spotted Fong Vu Tu standing across from him. He immediately gave chase, pursuing him all the way to the rooftop of a fabric workshop. Fong Vu Tu had vanished, and Ha Hao Vu realized the danger too late. One of Fong Vu Tu's legs kicked him over 10 meters away. Undeterred by the pain, Ha Hao Vu continued the pursuit. However, Fong Vu Tu was truly insane. He leapt directly to a building more than 10 meters away. Ha Hao Vu hesitated, thinking of his young apprentices still awaiting his return. He couldn't risk it, and the police trailing behind were even less equipped. Chasing after Fong Vu Tu, who was skilled in evasion, would only result in failure. Ha Hao Vu returned to the martial arts school after 3 years of absence and met his junior disciples. However, to his surprise, Fong Vu Tu had arrived much earlier, leaving behind a swallowtail dart. Ha Hao Vu sought out the senior martial artists to inquire about the history of this dart. The dart was called Duong Tian Yen, a weapon bestowed by a respected master of the Qing dynasty to console those who failed in the Trang Nguyen arena. At this moment, an elderly practitioner of the armor-piercing technique interjected, 3 years ago, I once sparred with a young man with this swallowtail dart, who had a leg disability. Perhaps he was Fong Vu Tu. The elder pointed to the direction of Fong Vu Tu's former residence. Ha Hao Vu immediately reported to the police, but by the time they arrived, Fong Vu Tu had already left. There were traces of his martial arts training left everywhere in the house, along with heroic words he had inscribed on the walls. With no remaining concerns, his sole motivation was to compete with the heroes of the world. He aimed to become the foremost under the sky. This was the driving force behind his killings. Ha Hao Vu speculated. Fong Vu Tu's next target is the king of weapons Tran Ba Kuang. But when they met Tran Ba Kuang, they learned that 2 years ago he had a car accident and could no longer practice martial arts. He passed all his great knowledge to the famous martial artist Hong Deep. Before the words were finished, Fong Vu Tu appeared on a movie set, using ants to pierce a person's bones to scare everyone away. Only the king of New Age weapons, Hong Deep and Fong Vu Tu, clasped their hands and demanded to receive the teachings, feeling helpless. Hong Deep could only hold the sword and duel with Fong Vu Tu. The two of them acted decisively. The king of weapons quickly entered a trance. Fong Vu Tu encountered the next move but did not fall into a lower position. The duel began to become tense. Suddenly Hong Deep's sword was broken by Fong Vu Tu's foot, then a sword slashed down Hong Deep's back. Hong Deep kept moving back, conveniently used a water pipe to collect Fong Vu Tu's sword, temporarily suppressing the opponent. But facing a cunning opponent, Fong Vu Tu picked up a knife from the ground and rushed towards Hong Deep like a hurricane. A small knife cut little by little on Hong Deep's body. One leg kicked out, and as soon as Hong Deep stood up, he was sent to prison with 1 star in his throat cut. The king of weapons for a lifetime failed just like that. Another expert was killed, and it was Min Tin. The police were pushed to the forefront by public opinion. The perpetrator only killed people who knew martial arts. So every day I study Dragon Fist with Lu Kung Hong. Isn't that dangerous for my friendliness? The right, front, and back legs, the pan, and the weapons in the 5 houses are united. The previous 4 people have been killed, so the next person is internal armor expert Thu Hao 9. This time the police had to arrest Fong Vu Tu no matter what, but unexpectedly, this time they guessed wrong. It turns out that Fong Vu Tu's ultimate goal is a big battle with Ha Hao Vu. Ha Hao Vu once gave Fong Vu 2 points. In his heart, Ha Hao Vu was the strongest person, to force Ha Hao Vu to fight. This time Fong Vu 2's target changed to little sister Moi. Although little junior sister is also an expert, facing Fong Vu 2, she has no power to counterattack. After a few fights, he was seriously injured. By the time Ha Hao Vu chased him, the little sister was only left with a thin breath. Finally, the 2 martial arts enthusiasts confronted each other, the highest ceremony in the martial world, embracing power, both resolute in life and death. This was the most remarkable action sequence in the martial world. The 2 top masters engaged in combat, each strike filled with brutal, intense, and exhilarating power. There were no fancy techniques, only hearts determined to kill each other. Beside them, a passing car terrified the onlookers, as half a second later, both were crushed under its wheels. Yet, undeterred, they continued their powerful moves, each displaying the peak of their true strength. This was the battle that Fong Vu Tu had long awaited. His pan was about to strike, almost grinding into the flesh of Ha Hao Vu. Simultaneously, Ha Hao Vu leveraged a move to throw Fong Vu Tu off balance, swiftly aiming for his chest and unleashing a forceful strike. Then, with a swift kick, he sent Fong Vu Tu flying more than 10 meters away, resembling a speeding truck. Ha Hao Vu pulled Fong Vu Tu back before the truck came crashing down. They each grabbed a bamboo pole that had fallen from the truck and continued fighting fiercely. After several exchanges, Ha Hao Vu gained the upper hand, delivering a decisive blow to Fong Vu Tu's head and capitalizing on his victory pursuit. In a chaotic display of power, Fong Vu Tu could no longer counterattack. Finally, he was kicked out, landing outside. After Fong Vu Tu struggled to get up, he kneeled before Ha Hao Vu. He admitted defeat, leaving Ha Hao Vu bewildered. His current demeanor was the Ha Hao Vu that I had been waiting for. Now, come and kill me, and you shall emerge victorious. As soon as these words came out, he remembered his little sister's words, don't attack others again. Originally, he wanted to forgive Fong Vu Tu. As soon as Fong Vu Tu turned around, he crawled under the truck's wheels. At the same time, he also pulled Ha Hao Vu under the car. Fong Vu Tu was completely mad, and wanted to fight under the car. Ha Hao Vu kicked Fong Vu Tu onto the seatbelt. He himself hung on the truck, was dragged more than 100 meters, fainted, life or death was unknown. While panicking, he saw Fong Vu Tu stabbing himself with a bird's nest dart. You don't kill me, I will kill you too. But then he saw Fong Vu Tu lying on the ground covered in blood. It turned out that while he was panicking, the police came and frantically held a gun and shot at Fong Vu Tu, shooting him into a hole. Without any distance, the times have changed. Even though his martial arts skills are higher, he has more killing skills, and when faced with a gun, he cannot withstand a single blow. The end of the story. Ha Hao Vu and Tiu Su Moi formed a relationship, gave birth to a daughter, and the unified school they founded continued to flourish. Okay, here you go. Click subscribe and turn on the notification bell to watch the next episode.